Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Heroic Stats, and Any Heroics podcast. My name's Stephen. You should all know who I am because I have a big ego. I'm here today with Dave Farmer and John, who is last year's best painter and this year's best army swapper.
This year,
Little reminder of who we all are, just in case you haven't listened before. So I am the current rankings officer. I am de facto leader of Any Heroics in that I have the team captaincy. As I said before, we are a monarchy, and therefore I was born to this. It's my God-given right. Dave Farmer, obviously a big name on the SBG scene in the UK. He's been at the top of the game for the last, I think, 3-4 years, it's fair to say.
Sounds about right.
It could argue either way. We can look at the stats in a future episode. Tease. We're also, obviously, John, as previously alluded to, is an excellent painter. Was last year's Artisan of Ardor. Was that the correct name of the award?
I
think it's like
Artisan of Middle Earth.
Artisan of Middle Earth, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And another excellent gamer in that he came second in best newcomer. Or was it third? Sorry, I shouldn't rub it in. Having just hopped over from the 40k scene. Again, if you are just listening for the first time, what we do is we do little tournament summaries, musings about the meta. We look at winning lists, and we also look at best painted and who's been winning most sporting.
Talk about tournaments.
We are now at episode 10
That's
of
big.
the Heroic Stats podcast. So that's 10 PowerPoints that the intern has diligently made.
I think I've done 2 or 3, but yes, you do get the bulk of the credit for this.
Yeah.
First of all, for those who aren't aware, we are currently very proudly affiliated by the wonderful Firestorm Games. Link in description. Go check them out. They're in Cardiff. If you're in the Bristol area, Cardiff area.
I think they might also be in Swindon. I don't know if I'm imagining that.
I think they do have a store in Swindon as well. Yes.
I should know, probably.
But yeah, there's a QR code for you to scan on screen now. Otherwise, go check the link out in the description for all your hobby products and GW stuff at discounted rates.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, Firestorm Games. Big shout out to you.
Big sponsor.
Speaking of hobby, what hobby have you been up to, Stephen?
I'll be perfectly honest. Absolutely nothing in the last week. I've been up and down the country for visiting my long distance girlfriend. And I've got my driving test next week because I'm 30 this year, and I really should have finished learning to drive already. But if you don't finish, then, if you don't try. I don't know where I was going with that.
So you're going to do your driving test. Well, hopefully that goes well. For me,
You've done any hobby, Dave?
I have, actually. I've been working on converting a couple of extra Warriors of Minas Tirith with Axe. I have a few. The lovely Dewey Evans printed me some custom axes. I asked for a particular thing which he designed for me, and yeah, I like the way they look. And they're, I think, quite a useful ingredient in the Minas Tirith standard list, as it were. So I'm intending to use that. I'm not sure exactly when it will be, but I want to use my Minas Tirith because I think they look nice and I like the army. And I think throwing some axes in there makes them just that little bit. Gives them a little bit more oomph.
There is something nice about men as heroes doing things beyond all the magical beasties and elves and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think Minas Tirith is kind of definitely a solid list. So,
yeah. John, how about yourself? You're finishing off one of your current projects, aren't you?
Yeah, finishing is giving me a bit too much credit. I'm still painting Arnold.
It's been 84 years.
Eventually I'll get there.
That's right.
I think I'm in a bit of a hobby slump at the moment, so trying to find my mojo again.
We've all been there.
We haven't been to, or at least myself, I haven't been to a tournament in quite a while. And I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, there's a bit of a hole in my life at the moment. And I've realized it's because I haven't been to a tournament for like 3 or 4 weeks. The last one I went to was Flubbles, I think.
Yeah.
Fence the North.
I haven't been to one since the GP, which is the beginning of February, which is very long. That's a long time for me.
Yeah.
Last year I went to one on average every 2 weeks. So, this year it's been a bit slower.
Yeah.
But that's deliberate though.
Well,
the hangover effect of going hard and not making it was pretty strong, I think. So I've been having to manage that feeling of disappointment going forward, you know.
Yeah, and I think kind of those feelings in the hobby, whether it's kind of not quite hitting that goal that you set for yourself, being a bit burnt out, or kind of whatever it is, are really actually, speaking to people, quite common. And I think, like, I'm in a bit of a slump at the moment. I know, Dave, we've chatted that you've kind of, like you just said, yeah, that sort of hangover feeling. No one really chats about it, do they? But I think it's quite common.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a talk. I remember speaking to Ed Ball about this a while ago, because obviously he's had a lot of experiences coming very close and not quite coming out on top. Obviously, he's also won the league 3 times, which helps, but he's come second 3 times as well. So it's a very real effect. You go very hard, you compete really hard, you get to the end of the year, you have your moment of triumph, and then the next season starts and you have to do it all over again if you want to. Obviously, there's no requirement, but there's always going to be a period at the beginning of the year where, if you've been competing very hard, the end of the year naturally is always the most intense period. So suddenly you're like, I just need to take a step back. And it's very usual for people to come in and take a step back for a couple of months, and then April rolls around and they get the bug again and they're like, oh, I love this, you know, because obviously we all love it. That's how it goes. But yeah, that's a very real effect. And I felt that very, very strongly.
Yeah, I think it's something that I'd always encourage people to talk to their friends about, because, as you said yourself, we all have little moments like that. I mean, I've dropped out of tournaments because I've felt that I've been too burnt out and just wanted some me time. And whether it's you haven't necessarily performed as well as you wanted to, or you just got a bit frustrated with the hobby. I mean, it's always worth reaching out to one of your friends and just saying, hey, this is what I'm going through at the moment. And, you know, can we just chat about it? Because we've had those conversations within our group quite a bit. And I think it's nice to be part of a supportive micro community where you look out for each other like that. I think
everyone says kind of one of the best things about the hobby is the kind of community and the group of friends and stuff that you make. And one of the most useful things about having a group of friends like that is being able to kind of open up and share your emotions. But before we get too deep, let's return. I've taken us off track. Let's go back.
Yeah, when are we getting our BetterHelp sponsorship?
Yeah, sponsored by BetterHelp.
Yeah.
So Stephen mentioned that some of us haven't been to tournaments for a little while, but I actually bucked that trend and went to one of the tournaments we'll be covering this weekend. And that tournament was Return of the King. It was a GBHL 90 held at Ord in Brum in Birmingham. The TO was Aaron Collier, and the tournament consisted of 6 games at 650 points using veto scenarios, which weren't kind of locked into the pools. You could kind of have any sort of random combination of missions, but there were no repeat missions.
Yeah,
they do that a lot.
Unfortunately, despite me being there, I need some additional reporter training because I did not recall the name of the gentleman that got most sporting. But I did get the name of the chap who won Best Painted, Omar Badawi. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. And Omar brought a stunning Lothlorien and Minas Tirith army. And I was very pleased to hear kind of when I asked Omar for some pictures of his army, he talked about how much he likes the pod. So hopefully it's quite nice to be featured on here.
I was going to say he came up to us at Into the West and came and chatted and said hello, which was lovely.
Every model in this list is non-metallic metal as well. It's really
the
cool.
Louis Van Heck approach.
Yeah. So shout out, because it was nice to chat to a fan. It's always nice to talk to people who appreciate the content, even if you've got some nice things and some not so nice things to say about the content. Lovely. Of course, Omar absolutely loves all of our content and said only nice things and was very enthusiastic. And I had a little chat to him, actually. I said congrats for winning Best Painted. We had a little chat about future tournaments.
That's a fascinating list.
But yeah,
the paint job's really good and the bases are incredible. I'm not sure they're the most practical. For our Spotify listeners, Galadriel's mounted on kind of an inch tall thing of kind of like mossy outcroppy steps that looks sick, and this also had LEDs in it. So if I go back to the first photo, you can actually see the LEDs. and like
There's
Omar's
a sentinel
Sentinel.
on a tree.
What
It's-
is the? Hang on.
It's a 25 mil base, a massive
wow.
tree, and then a tiny little
Sentinel
sentinel.
on the branch. I mean,
popped
that's
in
very
it, yeah.
cool.
If
Go
that
back one
is
again,
a
John, sorry.
metal sentinel balancing on the branch, which it's originally a metal model, just amazing how
That's
you managed to
Aragorn.
make that balance.
Very cool. I was wondering what the Ministerious part of this army would be, but Aragorn Galadriel kind of makes sense. Oh,
Yeah,
it's pretty
And
cool.
the-
each model's
Cool
got its
idea.
own character, and
The gold
They
as
all have
well,
names on them as well.
and the
Yeah.
swords. The way he's done the blades is really, really nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
the banding of Galadriel armor is really difficult to get right, having tried to paint it about 4 different times. And Omar has definitely got it right, 100%.
Yeah, it's really, really
Nice.
good.
Let's look at the
So-
list.
Third place was the first member of Heroic Stats to actually have a list featured on the podcast. You'd have thought it would be our esteemed captain Stephen or the competitive legitimacy, but no. In fact, was the lowly intern. I know all about this list, so Stephen, why don't you tell the viewers about it?
Yeah, it's Goblin Town.
Cool. Moving on.
Yeah.
Smashing it.
No, so it's standard Goblin Town list. The one exception is it doesn't have the scribe. So it's
I was
the
gonna
Goblin
say-
King with 21 goblins and Gollum, Grinner with 18 goblins, Goblin Mercenary Captain with 5 Goblin Mercenaries, and 2 Goblin Captains with 18 Goblin Warriors. Everything has been swapped to picks, which is free in this list because they have picks or clubs or something. I can't remember.
They have picks or daggers available, even though
Picks
one
or
of them
daggers,
has
sorry.
a little whip, but they
Yeah,
don't have whips.
he has a
available.
dervish. Not a dervish. He has a. No, it's a dervish. Isn't
It's
it?
I don't know. It's like
It has a
it
special
looks-
name in the profile.
It looks like a little heavy rope tied in a knot. Is what it
Yeah.
looks like.
What does this list do? It does really well in, well, supposedly, although this guy only came third with it, it does really well in veto scenarios. Reason why is because you can go, oh, hey, Lords of Battle. No, thank you.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
they can have maces as well.
So I kind of
Um,
described the list as imagine a lawnmower that is going over the weeds and it eventually gets clogged up because the weeds
Yeah.
are too long. That's the general idea of the list.
For any
my
650
losses,
list,
yeah.
you're looking at maybe 32 models for a good model count list, I would have said.
You can get quite a lot. 36 is very doable, even for semi-elite lists. Like Mordor Suladan can get 36 at 650. But I mean, that's not 86, is it?
Yeah.
I think with the exception of the list that won the tournament, my break point was higher numbers than everyone else's starting numbers, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a plug and play list by any means because it does have some tricks with Grinner and the Goblin King and the placement of the
Gollum.
mercenary captains and Gollum, obviously.
Gollum's the big one with the ring.
And you have to be careful about where you have your standfast at the end of the game because,
Mm.
my God, I think I watched a third of someone's army a third of someone's starting numbers get removed in a game I
Yeah.
had a couple of years ago because they just
Everything runs.
run.
You get one
Um,
turn of Goblin King for free because he's a hero of legend, and then after that, even he's only courage 3. So
Yeah.
there's a pretty good shot. He just buggers off.
The game I lost was against Angmar. The pools weren't ideal, the 3 random scenarios we rolled up. So I think there was 1 good mission for me and then 2 bad ones. So that was a bit
Yeah.
unfortunate. But
Why?
it was just the courage, going down to courage 1, couldn't
Yeah,
charge
good
shit.
charging. What I would
And
say
Gillivar
is,
just
this,
went ham.
am I wrong? Was this one a very low time limit tournament?
It was 1 hour and 50 rounds.
And that's fairly short for 86 models, though.
Yeah, for 86 models. But I think for
650,
For
that's okay.
650,
Yeah.
it's
It's a bit
reasonable.
short, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
yeah.
Um,
And I mean, that was
I
something
think I'd
that
rather
I
2 hours.
considered with the list because this might get me some hate in the comments, but I think there's a big difference between slow play and trying to extend the game. So, for example, one of my games against Hunter Orcs, I was charging 1 goblin into 2 Hunter Orcs purely so that I knew I'd lose that fight. The chances are, if I say put 2 goblins on 1 Hunter Orc,
They'll both die.
decent chance I lose 2 goblins.
Yeah.
Whereas doing the opposite kind of reduces the rate that he's killing me. So I was kind of moving my models in quickly, rolling dice quickly, but the decisions I was making in the game dragged out the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's tactical. That's tactical use of your list to make sure you get the most out of it. I don't
Yeah.
think there's an issue with that at all.
Yeah.
I think there's a prevailing opinion. So, well, it's a fairly common opinion in the game that for the game to be fair, every game has to end per the mission. And I don't think that's the best way to play this. I think playing the game to a time limit is important. And I think certain bad experiences with slow play put people off that approach. But I think in order for the game to actually be balanced and fair, you do have to have a time limit and you do have to play to it.
Yeah.
But again, that creates different problems. Obviously, we know slow playing can be an issue. But what I'm saying is, I think the game is not intrinsically fairer if you play everything to a natural conclusion. I think it's fair as is. It's just you need to find a way of dealing with slow play, basically.
Because I guess it comes down to like the turn count. Because what I was doing meant that we still played a very large number of turns. Yeah, but it meant I was dying slower, if that makes sense.
Well, that's just tactics, though.
Yeah, that's like shielding with elves. If I chuck an elf into 2 guys and I shield, it's going to extend the length of the game. Yeah. Is it a faux pas? No, not at all.
You're just using the only option you have. Yeah. By the way, I did check, and Goblin Count can have its picks, daggers, flails, and maces. The thing that was what I was remembering incorrectly is technically some of the Goblin Town goblins have axes, which is not on their profile. Obviously, axes are identical to picks, but technically they're different. So I just thought that was interesting. Yeah. Anyway,
let's look at number 2.
John. Moving on.
Yeah, well done, John.
So number 2, and this is this gentleman's
another super fan.
first ever GBHL podium.
Is
it was his goal for the year.
Done.
Yeah, so congratulations to
Dr.
Vince Wong. He brought Numenor and Rivendell, 34 models, 11 bows. He's got Isildur on a horse with a shield, 2 warriors in Numenor, which
I would guess.
Yeah, is that not? Does he not get it as standard?
It's technically an upgrade, but it's free. The only thing the only thing is you can't have it if you also have a Lendil. Sorry, carry on.
So Isildur's warband is 2 warriors in Numenor with shield, 5 warriors with shield and spear, 5 warriors with spear and bow, 1 warrior with a banner, spear and shield. Then he's got a Restor leading 8 high elf warriors with shield, 3 high elf warriors with bow, and 1 Rift Knight. Finally, he's got Kurdan leading 4 high elf warriors with shield and 2 high elf warriors with elf bow. What do we think of this one?
He seems like he doesn't have that many spears to me. He only has 11. I mean, that's not none, but it feels like he's got more frontline.
So he's got 11 Numenor spears, and then I assume the intent is to have the elves in front.
Yeah, obviously, but what I mean is he has.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, the elf bows don't have spears.
No, they don't.
It's because when I see elf bow, I always put spears on mine.
No, like I think having elves with shield and Numenor with spear is the better way to do it.
Yeah.
I guess it probably doesn't matter that much because you've got guys on the flank who can wrap around, so you don't need spears quite so badly on the edges.
You've only got 3 more shield models than you have spear models. So.
I think knowing that, if this was me, I would put all the bows in Kurdan's warband and the knight, and then have Eristor and 12 warriors with shield, and then you can plop them. Yeah. You have your battle line warbands, and then you have your Kurdan little shooty warband.
Although Kieran does want to be in the middle.
He does, but
you can position him there after you've moved.
Yeah, and because you're not going to want to play with a list like this, you're not going to want to play Maelstrom anyway.
Yeah.
And it's veto with random pools, so you're not guaranteed to have to play any Maelstrom. So, that's not as big of a concern. It doesn't have much, but again, you can mitigate that with scenarios, and this should outshoot most things that isn't a strong shooting list, like D6 all around, and 11 bows is pretty good.
Of which 6 are elf bows that will re-roll because they have the Rivendell keyword. Within range of Isildur, interestingly enough, not within range of Aristor. But
I mean, it's the leader of the list.
Rivendell quirks.
In that context, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Isildur is clearly more authoritative.
What we should have said, actually, at the start of talking about this is shout out Gollum's Gamers, obviously, because Vince Wong is a member of Gollum's Gamers.
He's also a super fan.
They're currently top of the GBHL League.
I mean, that'll happen if you go to 400 tournaments.
Yeah. I personally, I know I've already spread my anti-Aristor propaganda before. I think Aristor would be better as a high elf captain. He still fulfills the same purpose as Aristor in this list, which is the Kierden. He opens the door for Kierden and holds it open so
Yeah.
Kierden can walk through. Because Kierden's an old man and he has to have a fortitude to hold the door open for him. Gives you march. It saves you 5 points, which you can then put 5 spears on those elf bows that you've got in the back rank.
I
But that's
think,
just me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Luke Hilda would say Eristor is better than a captain.
Yeah, he would.
And Luke Hilda is the best Gilgalad player in the GBHL.
I mean, it's statistically incorrect, and I'm also
That's true. He's
highest-ranked
better in
Rivendell.
Poland than you are, though.
He's better in Poland. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, I think that can clear. I mean, it can work. I know that this final round, I saw that it was Adam Sirens versus Vince, probably both playing for second place, given the context, which I think is pretty fun.
Yes.
Obviously, because that's a Gollum's game as mirror match.
They're also
well
very
done,
good
Vince,
friends
for
and go
beating...
to a lot of things together.
Exactly.
So.
Well done, Vince, for beating Adam.
Yeah. Adam was
finally,
an exceptional player in his own right. So shout out Adam.
Shall we see the winning list?
Look at the list. Jake's list is Arnor, for anyone not watching on screen. He's got 48 models. He's got Arvidui leading 11 Warriors of Arnor, 1 Warrior of Arnor with a weapon swap to a flail, and 1 Warrior of Arnor with a banner. Malbeth, 5 more Warriors of Arnor, 1 Warrior of Arnor with a flail, 5 Rangers with spear. Captain of Arnor, 5 Warriors, 5 Rangers with spear. Captain of Arnor, 5 Warriors, 5 Rangers with spear, and a Hobbit archer.
Yeah, I mean, so firstly, tournament was called Return of the King. Jake Rawson has returned to his winning ways. He won a tournament last weekend. Was it last weekend? It was last weekend.
Yeah.
At Preston. And he also won this. So Return of the King, also Arvidui, Last King of Arnor, Return of the King. Nice. Yeah. It's your standard Arnor list. Arnor is very good at this points range. Dave will tell us which points it's not good at. I think it might be 600. It's a bit awkward.
600 is okay, but it's not great.
Yeah. But you
really
have
it's
solid
just 550 plus a captain.
You have solid numbers. You have very cheap warriors. They're 8 points each with spear and shield.
Yep.
They're all fearless while within range of Arvidui. He's a fair enough beat stick in his own right. He's not exceptional, but for his points again, he's very good.
This list doesn't really do that very much. Like
what this list does
is outgrind.
It outgrinds you and it sticks around. Because for those of you unaware, Malbeth has a special rule called Foresight, which is an active special rule. When an Arnor model within 6 inches of him takes a wound, roll a dice on a 5-up. That wound is ignored exactly as though a point of fate has been spent. No, it does not count for Lords of Battle. Don't be silly. So it's basically an old school Fury and just keeps the list around. So you can absolutely see how this would draw against an 86 model Goblin Town list.
Yeah. When the immovable object meets a unending force.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The only way that you would ever get points there is if he, for some reason, didn't deploy on top of his objective and stay there.
Yeah. Well, we went to time, and they'd called kind of last turn, and it was then me. I had the king and Gollum kind of shuffling around, trying to find any way I could get onto that objective just to pick it up for a kind of small win. But after kind of 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it was of me searching, Jake finally was like, yeah, there's no way you can do it. And I finally agreed. Like, yeah, no. Which got me third and Jake the win. Yeah. So congratulations to Mr. Rawson.
Yeah.
Let's look at our next tournament of the weekend. So this was the Dark Tower GBHL 90 held at Darkfire Cafe in St Albans. The TO was Oliver Adkins. They had 18 players, 600 points in 4 games, and this was Vito again. Most sporting was Martin Slight, and best painted was Alec Markowicz. Unfortunately, this was the best photo we could get of Alec's list. It's, from what we can tell, a very nice looking, quite dark and
cold ones as
stormy.
Cold ones as what are they called?
The Drakes.
Ruinage War Drakes.
Yeah, that's it.
So Alec, if you watch this, or anyone watching this knows Alec, please ask him to send me some pictures on Facebook or comment when I spam.
I love seeing an Easterling banner. When do you ever see one of those? It's never.
Yeah.
If it's not attached to a palanquin.
Is that freehand or are they molded on the
No,
flag?
I think. Well, I'm not actually sure about that. You know.
I have
don't
some
remember.
downstairs, but I'm not going to go and grab them because I can't be
That's
bothered.
how infrequently we see the Eastling banners.
Yeah.
So
I think it might be molded on, if I'm honest. But
I think it is as well. Yeah.
because I feel like everyone I've seen has had a similar shape on it, and I feel like that's too much of a coincidence.
yeah, I know last week we saw some best painted Eastlings again, and they had very similar kind of patterns.
You see.
Yeah. The podium for this tournament was dominated by Toms, and our third place Tom was friend of the channel Tom Patterson. He
Love
brought a 594 point list. So I forgot to put on Bard's armor there, but as far as I can tell, what I've transferred over is exactly what he had on Longshanks. So that is the Master of Lake Town, 6 Lake Town Guard with bow, 5 Lake Town Guard with spear, 4 Lake Town Guard, Bard the Bowman with horse and armor, Sigrid and Tilda, 5 Lake Town Guard with axes, 5 Lake Town Guard with bow and spear, Braga with 5 Lake Town Guard with axes, 6 Lake Town Guard with spear, Alfred, 6 Lake Town Guard with bow, and 6 Lake Town Guard with spear.
Huh.
So congrats to Tom for winning.
Well, he's
6 points down.
I mean, that's 16 points down as you've transcribed it.
Yeah.
I forgot to add
You've given Bard's not taking
the horse and armor. Yeah, that was my bad.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, considering he has 4 guard without any gear, and also he says he's got 55 models, and you say he's got 54. I suspect you've missed something, or he's missed something out of this. But
yeah, I don't know if Tabletop Admiral, shout out to our unofficial, maybe sponsored by, include Sigrid and Tilda as 1 or 2 models.
2 models. Oh, I see what you mean. Sorry.
Yeah.
10, 15,
it
11,
looks like it
26,
might not be counting them as 2. Yeah.
37.
Yeah, because the bow count is right.
Yeah, it's not counting them as 2.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just got them as 1 because you buy them
Tom,
together.
comment in the comment below. Tom, tell us where I messed up. But yeah, it's a good list. We know Lake Town's been doing really well this year.
Is this a veto list?
Yes. Yeah. So again, it goes off the same principle that the Goblin Town list does. You avoid Contest of Champions and maybe Lords of Battle, depending what you're against. Although it does have a lot of bows and Bard, who are both exceptionally good at killing things on the way in. And otherwise, it's got 12-inch banner, a bunch of Fight 4 models. It's got 3 heroics with Braga. It's got March. It will tick a lot of boxes.
I think you should take Bilbo, even if you drop a few models. Personally,
yes,
I think Bilbo adds so much to this list.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's wrong not to. I just think in a veto, it just gives you that extra answer to some, the difficult questions, which is the big smashy stuff.
Yeah,
it grinds well against everything.
Yeah,
except maybe Arnold.
I think having played an Army of Lake Town list at this point without Bilbo and with Bilbo, Bilbo is kind of the problem solver in that he doesn't cost you too many models because you've already got a shit ton. Okay, no, he does. He costs, what is it, 10 models, 12 models, depending on whether you've got gear or not. But he adds a lot to the list. But Tom does swear by his pure no allied Lake Town, and he has performed well with it in the past. We've seen him win a few tournaments, both last year and also this year. He's already
backs the men of the lake. Can't argue with it.
But yeah, we've seen it a lot.
Inexplicably, really heavily favoured by this game, even though they're not that important in the Lord of the Rings story.
Fight 4. Higher than Minas Tirith, because man with money go jingle jingle. Don't drift that.
Two army lists based around a bunch of chuds that are literally just background characters to mean that Bard isn't just a guy on his own.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Our second place, as alluded to, was another Tom. It was the daddy bear himself, Thomas Smith.
Yeah.
He has taken a leaf out of Jacob Crockwell's book and brought a Candish king with 5 Candish horsemen, Candish chieftain on chariot with 4 horses, Candish chieftain on chariot with 4 more horsemen, and a Candish chieftain on chariot with 2 Candish warriors, swapping the hand and a half axe with bow and 4 Candish warriors. And Tom did try and tell us that he didn't just shamelessly copy Jakob. We haven't verified these claims that he did get 2 podiums with Clan last year, and therefore he set the trend. But we'll leave that to our favourite investigative reporter, Clave Doubly of the GBHL Bugle.
The way I see it is, if it wasn't mentioned on a podium on any, heroic stats, then did it even happen? We
Exactly.
Don't know.
With regards to the list, obviously we've seen one Variax of Khan's list at 600 already. Jakob, Giga Chad, Crocmal, absolute shout out to him. What does it do? It's a meta call against Lake Town and Hunter Orcs and Goblin Town. In that it runs over them and it outshoots. Well,
I do wonder if he would have taken more cav if he didn't have it, because like that's a lot of infantry canned. You don't really want any if you can avoid it, I think.
Yeah, you run into the issue. Your Parthian tactics no longer work.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what it was Jakob had. He had a regular charioteer that wasn't a chieftain.
Yeah.
Which I think was the difference. I think it was one more cav and he had one infantry guy with a bow. I think that's slightly better. I don't think it makes a large amount of difference because again, there's a lot of stuff in the way. But yeah, I think in order to really maximize what this list is capable of, I think you do need to have as much of it mobile as possible. Having said that, I mean, it didn't stop him, did it?
No.
19 bows is still good, and when it's all mobile, it allows you to do really annoying stuff. Like if they put their bows behind a line of guys, you're like, all right, my cav are going to go in range of the front line. It gives you a lot of options. You can just shoot the front rank out of 24 of their back rank.
Yeah.
Which is obnoxious, but it's also, if they're going to put their archers behind something, that's what you should do.
I heard a lovely anecdote from Adam Sirens about Jakob playing his version of this list. And he played a couple of games next to Jakob at the GP and was played against him. And Jakob was just giggling to himself the whole time, having so much fun using this list.
Yeah.
You'd never quite seen Jakob act quite like that, have that much enjoyment playing the game. So it's clearly
a fun list.
A good list and a fun
The only
list.
thing it doesn't enjoy is Defense 7 Dwarves, and even then it's okay.
I wouldn't say it's okay to Defense 7 Dwarves.
For those of you unaware, check out the Gladiator scene, the scene in Gladiator, where they're in the arena and they're in the chariot, and you'll understand why dwarves work well. It's because shield wall and big, strong armored men. Good.
Do I have to edit that in?
Absolutely not.
Let's look at our first place list. It was another Thomas Seckham.
Wow.
He took
Seacombe, actually, but yeah.
Threecombe?
Forgum.
He took Fell Beings of Mirkwoodcombe. 600 points, 42 models. He's got Razgoosh leading the Legendary Legion with 4 Orcs with Shield, 5 with Spear, 1 with Banner, 2 Orc Trackers, 1 Warg Rider, 1 Bat Swarm, 1 Fell Warg. He's got the Spider Queen with 4 Orcs with Shield, 4 Orcs with Spear, 2 Trackers, 1 Tracker on a Warg, and 1 Warg Rider with Throwing Spears. And then rounding it out, he's got an Orc Captain with Warg and a Shield, 4 Orc Warriors with Shield, 4 with Spear, 2 more Trackers, 1 Orc Tracker on a Warg, and a Mirkwood Spider.
I've played against Fellbeings of Mirkwood far more than one should ever have to play against it. It's actually a surprisingly good list in that a lot of people look at it and go, haha, this is mean tier. Spider Queen is excellent at problem solving for a lot of the objective scenarios, things like recon, anything where you have to get somewhere quickly. She just solves so many of those problems really well. Razgoosh isn't actually that much of a slouch in combat. I say it as an elf player, so take my point with a pinch of salt. But he's kind of like a less good Shagrat. Is how I would describe him.
Yeah. Limited in what he can lead, but obviously that doesn't matter in the Legion.
Yeah,
anyway.
and you've got some Bat Swarms, you've got some Fell Wargs, and a Spider. You've got some mobility. I don't think it's an outstanding list. I think it's a good list in the right hands. People like Nat Sinclair, who takes this list a lot or took it a lot last year.
Mm.
And I think I've seen Thomas Seacombe take this.
Well, World
and
Champions won tournaments with it.
Yeah.
So my big thing with this tournament, with this list, sorry, is it works. I think it works well at small points. I think at higher points it becomes kind of pointless, just because Mordor alliances become better. Like a Mordor
Yes.
Spider Queen alliance is better. 600, I think, is probably for me, it's upper end of operational effectiveness, because you can throw down. Basically, the actual benefit to this, obviously, the elf effects are nice, but they're not. You know, Fight 6 for Razgush and elf bonuses are not anything that special. What I think the real bonus to this is allowing the Spider Queen to lead orcs. That's basically the only thing this list has objectively over an alliance. And you could probably run a solid Spider Queen alliance at 600, but I think this would be as good as it. I think above that, and suddenly you're really feeling the lack of Morannons, you're feeling the lack of Black Numenorians, you're feeling the lack of magic and wraiths and stuff. Because you can always have a spider. If you're having the Spider Queen, you can always have the Bat Swarm. You can always have the spiders if you actually want them. But I do like the list. I think it's okay. Like, it's solid. 42 is decent numbers at 600. And this would go reasonably well into a lot of more meta armies. But again, Spider Queen is just great. But this also doesn't really have the capability to protect her against things that counter her either. That's when wraiths come into it, in my opinion. So yeah, this is a solid list, but I think it's definitely not powerful. I think this is what I would call a 90 list. It reminds me of Cirith Ungol in a lot of ways. It's got a lot of stuff going for it, but ultimately, to do well with it at 100, you need to be a bit of a stud and also a bit lucky, in my opinion.
I would say that if you are playing elves into this list, it is an anti-elf list.
Oh yeah, hatred everywhere is nuts.
Yeah, suddenly you're like, oh, my models that were wounding you on 5s are also getting wounded back on 5s. Okay, great. And they also outnumber you by a pretty good margin, generally. And also, they've also got Bat Swarms and the Spider Queen to take out your big heroes. Sad Gilgalad noises. Although I've never used Gilgalad against this list, so.
Cool. With 2 more 90s in the books, let's take a look at the stats, how they stand for the year so far. So these are the GBHL 100 and GBHL 90 podiums. An important disclaimer about last week's version of this graph. It was made before we got kind of the fully update about the kind of third place, kind of 2 people being exactly tied. So what I've done is I've included the stats from both their lists. So that's how Goblin Town has snuck in with 100 podium, as well as the Misty Mountains. So still leading the pack in 100 wins, that's unchanged. Isengard and Riders of Theoden on 3 apiece. Lake Town is leading the whole pack in combined podiums with 6 total, 5 of which for 90s. That's Army, not Survivors. Arnor's creeping back up to somewhere similar to what we started seeing last year with 3 podiums combined. Dragon Emperor, 3 combined podiums. And then we've got Army of Dunland, Goblin Town, Bay Awnings, Misty Mountains, and now Variag Zakhan leading on 2 combined podiums. Minas Tirith still leads the pack in terms of pure 90s after Army of Lake Town. So not quite leading the pack, but yeah, that's the stats as they stand. Anything massively surprising there, team?
Yeah, you haven't put a specifically you haven't put a number of podiums for Toms, because it turns out after this weekend that if you change your name by deed poll to Tom, you're more likely to podium a GBHL 90. So I'm going to get my brother into this game.
That only happened at one of them, though. Clearly, it only works in St Albans. Yeah. Didn't work in Birmingham.
Yeah. Okay. Do we think the combined Toms are more powerful than the single J or double J? If you include Claire and Acharya.
Yeah, you've got J Claire, you've got Jake Rawson, you've got Acharya. Oh, sorry, was it J as in J-A-Y or J as in J names?
Jake's a different name, mate.
I thought he meant names beginning with the letter J.
Well, speaking of names, J, I think Dave told me an interesting tidbit that I'm the only John to podium a GBHL 100. So
it's true.
Which, given it's the most common name in it's the most common anglicized name in the UK. I would have thought that there would be more.
There are the most. I think it's the largest number of names is James or Jamies,
Oh, is it?
Daves and Davids are pretty up there as well.
Is that for UK names or for podiums?
No, for podiums. In terms of number of different people who've podiumed with those names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you count Jamie and James as the same name, I think that's the highest.
Do you count Jay in that or not? That's
No,
a different name.
Jay's a different name.
Unacceptable question. Silly.
I'd include Jimbo because that's short for James.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't include Jay because it's not short for James.
Do you think we'll see a return, Dave, changing the subject from names, of kind of Mordor Serpent Horde? It's not really doing hugely well so far in the year.
We haven't seen the points level for it. It's
I was going to say that the 90 stats are going to be heavily skewed by the fact that 90s tend to be one dayers. One dayers tend to be people want to get more games, so they tend to throw down the number of. You have to bring the points down.
Yeah.
And hundreds, there have only been a couple, and only one of them was a points level that really suited it. So,
yeah,
I don't think there's any information there yet. There's only been 300s, and only one of them was 400s. Oh no, that's not right. Well, two of them. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I think anti-shooting is key. Maybe people haven't been running the Shadow Lord enough, which is what I always say. But
so
Dave
I think
is actually the
next...
Shadow Lord.
Dave's got stonks in Big Shadow Lord.
I'm going
I
to
think
stock
the
it
next
up on Shadow Lord models. So I'm going to flood the market.
If you've got a mounted one spare, send it my way because I only have a conversion. Our next kind of big GBHL 100 on the horizon is City of Steel, I believe. Is that right?
No, it's Bath. It's Bubbles.
Okay, the next big 100 that I'm going to is City of Steel. Both of those tournaments are 700 points. Is that right?
And the Masters is also 700 points.
Yeah.
Not so that you guys would know.
Wow, excuse you. We're both going to Masters.
That's true.
And I'm going to disqualify you for that comment.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, because that will be against my jurisdiction and I get banned from being on the committee.
I was going to say,
I retract that comment immediately.
What's your take on the 700 point meta, Dave? Or are you keeping it top secret, keeping all your tech under wraps?
I think the matter is, I mean, like you've asked me this a few times, and I still think shooting is top crack. 700 is where things start to sort of change a bit. You can finally get you can get solid numbers of D7 at that point, which sort of scares the crossbows. But then most of the armies that get a lot of D7 also are afraid of something like an Isengard bomb, for example. So, for example, like Ministerial with Boromir or Dwarf Spam isn't going to have an answer to a bomb. They're just going to be looking, sitting there with the dick in their hands, like, well, guess you're going to blow me up then. So, I think that is kind of a challenging question for lists like this. So I think Isengard crossbow spam 700 is like what the list Jake won Preston with is extremely good. But then I do also think that if you match that into a Rivendell shooting list, or like Rivendell Knights even would probably do a great work into that. Elf shooting, anything with Kurdan would scare it. Anything with Blinding Light doesn't love it.
Yeah, suddenly all those D5 models where you haven't paid for shields and they've already got crossbows.
Well, I mean, part of the efficiency of the list is you run crossbows backed up by pikes. But then all of a sudden that means that you don't actually have any D6 or X to put your boys behind. So it is a bit of a edged thing. 700 points. Oh, I don't know. I don't have a definitive answer for it, to be honest. What I will say is I don't think it's not purely that. But I think if that continues to have success, and if you're aiming to win tournaments and the people who are competing are running that, then yeah, you need to plan for crossbows at the moment.
Yep.
In my opinion, anyway. And if that means running spam D5 to minimize their effectiveness and get a lot of bods down, or if that means getting D7, or if that means making sure you take your Blinding Light, any of those things can work. But watch out for the bomb. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Boom. Angmar, you heard it here first, famously loves shooting.
Yeah, Angmar.
Dr. Strangelove, or how I learned to stop worrying about D5 and take D7 and love the bomb, or whatever it is.
Cool.
Really?
So that's Dave's hot take of the past few weeks. Take Blinding Light. Let's look at questions and comments. The pod's been getting a bit popular. We're 10 episodes in now, and all of you lot, our fantastic viewers and listeners, have put too many comments, which we love, for me to individually animate them all because I'm a busy man. So here's the first chunk of questions. Alex Forster 5876 says, "Love the pod, guys. My question is, what is everyone's favorite Rohan hero, and why is it Helm Hammerhand?"
Because he can punch things.
Yeah, he can
And he
bash,
can bash with his fists.
which is
He's
really
the
good
best.
for a mounted model because you don't have to kill stuff.
I think it's ironic that bash is non-lethal, considering Helm Hammerhand is specifically called that because he punches a man to death.
Yeah.
It's a shame we
On
don't
a
have
serious
Elliot.
note, for Elliot, I'm answering for Elliot. It's Gambling. My favorite Rohan hero is Dernhelm because she is hilariously cheap for what she does. And I think she's a really cool model. The ability to take off the front bit is really cool.
That plastic was an absolute joy to paint, and I hate painting Rohan famously.
Agreed. Same.
My favorite one is the Rohan captain that's holding the dead orc and kind of having just like slit his throat. And that's my favorite
really cool
Rohan hero.
Oh yeah, I like that guy as well. Yeah.
Also used as a Son of Earl dismount sometimes. Is there a Legendary Legion missing from the books? The obvious one is the Last Alliance, but I reckon
I think we could do with 1 or 2 more Rohan legions, if I'm honest. I don't think there is enough.
Yeah, I think some more legions with Rohan and some more legions with orcs in them would be quite good.
Yeah, I think a Defenders of Minas Tirith list with Gandalf the White in with some cool bonus would be awesome. I think
The fact that that
wasn't in Gondor at War.
Yeah, Gondor at War had the Rohan legions. And didn't have
Rohan also had the Rohan legions, to be fair.
Yeah, I know.
As official Games Workshop affiliates, we can proudly break our NDA and announce that the next Legendary Legion book is based on Ride of the Rohirrim.
It's called Boards of the Rohirrim, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be Riders of Theoden, but before they actually get to Pelennor, it's the bit where they're just like stocking up and getting the spears.
The Riders of Helm Hammerhand.
Yeah,
it's the same as Riders of Theoden, but with all the new characters they introduced into the animated
movies. I MC Gregor, who is clearly a rap artist, I can only assume. Says bomb teams can get in the bin.
So for context, that's Ian McGregor.
It's Ian McGregor.
Had his army blown up by Jake at GBHL 100.
Yeah, agreed. Bomb teams. My personal opinion is anything that is used for siege games shouldn't be allowed in the normal game.
They're quite interactive, but I do like them.
Mark Newman 96 says he was the chap who took Mirkwood Rangers to Monster Mash. Tom did not let him use a tree beard as a tree for the special rule. Bit rude, to be honest. I think, as we discussed last week, we don't want to kind of miss thing Treebeard as a tree. He does identify as an ent.
Yeah. Yeah, I do non-ironically apologize for suggesting that, because clearly Tom did have a good response to that, and that was a funny response. Also shout out Mark. Yeah, they were saying some nice things about us in the Swindon chat, so shout out to all of those at Atomic Cards. I'm not going to name you all because I can only remember a few of your names.
Shout out Bert.
Shout out Bert. Is it Bert? Jordan Riley, big shout out to you.
Henry Britton,
who's TOing in the Southwest now, apparently. Henry Britton.
Whoa, Southwest.
Our next comment is from
the river.
Heroic Stats and any Heroic super fan, Stuart McLean. I played Stuart for the first time this weekend. It was a fantastic game, and I do apologize again for calling you the wrong name repeatedly, despite you correcting me. I don't know what was wrong with me. It was a long weekend. I'm very sorry. Please don't start hating the podcast. But Stuart's fantastic question is that both Dave and Elliot turn up to a sweaty GBHL 100 at 700 points, but Elliot has managed to pay off the TO with the promise of a packet of digestives and is playing an 800-point list. The TO in this case is probably Ali King. He loves digestives. Who do you back to win?
Also, he's corrupt.
I back myself, but also 100 points is quite a lot, especially at that point level. Having said that, with Elliot, it's just going to be another couple of, another Rohan hero, isn't it?
Yeah, with Elliot, it'll be like, oh, I'm taking Sauron, Shelob, and 2 siege bows. Get right, lad.
In fairness, the one time we've played was at 795 at G-Boot, and it was a close game. So I think that would probably be quite challenging. However, I do also back myself.
I think it really depends if Elliot's playing hard and playing well. If you've ever seen Elliot play hard,
I've never seen
it. He is a very good player. We mean about him spending 3 might on an elf helm throwing spear, which is his signature move. It really depends what kind of mood he's in. I think you could give Dave a good run for his money normally with a 100-point advantage. Yeah, maybe it's doable.
I think if he's bribing for an extra 100 points, I think he'd play hard. I think
Yeah.
real talk is it would depend entirely on the scenario, because some scenarios an extra 100 points is basically a free win. Some scenarios it would be like as if I had lost 100 points. But I mean, I've won games where an important piece has literally chumped his dice and died instantly, and then I've still won the game. So, you know,
Yeah,
scenario
it's still
wise, I
doable.
do back myself.
Are you going to pronounce that one day, John?
Blumkino Broccoli 1 maybe says you can't cast while flying above other models' heads.
That's correct. That was that reply is actually me acknowledging that. I was thinking about this. It was in the old FAQ and it was added to the new rulebook, but is no longer in the FAQ, which is why I wasn't able to verify that. But you're correct.
Are you Blumkino Broccoli?
Me? No, but I'm the little one reply that's beneath that.
Yeah, if you want to check out Dave's YouTube channel where he follows lots of My Little Pony content, go find that comment.
You don't know what I follow, Stephen.
No.
We just assume. Matt King 8851 says, so I created Any Heroics, referencing, of course, that we all met and started it Into the West. I expect my check in the post.
Matt, I played Josh, Stephen, and George at a tournament that was also run by Matt King at Cardiff. That wasn't GBHL. So,
well, I met Stephen in secondary school. So
yeah, I was going to say
that we were only able to meet in Cardiff.
I would say Ali King created Any Heroics because he inspired me to play because Matt King dropped out of a tournament. Boo. And I played as Ali's last-minute double replacement, which got me into the game, which meant that I turned up to Elliot and Josh's private game and was watching and rudely corrected them on a bunch of rules, which pissed them off, which made them my friend, which made them go to tournaments with me. So actually, it's Ali that gets the credit, not you, Matt.
But Matt dropping out is...
Oh, yeah.
No, see, he's still involved. Yeah. He's involved at every level. It goes deep.
It goes all the way to the top.
It goes all the way down.
Importantly, if we give Matt a 50% share of all the income we've earned so far.
Yeah, I think a one-off.
Despite our many lucrative sponsorship deals.
That would do it. Definitely worthwhile. Anyway, what's next? I know there was more. I saw them.
There's so many more.
Oh, my God.
Oh, geez.
Master Ballox 6780 said, just thought I'd comment, say hello, listen to you guys as I drive from job to job. Keep up the good work. Very entertaining. I've gone out of my way to find this video to comment, as I usually just put a comment on your Facebook post to say I'm going to listen. My name is Nathan, by the way. Hope to see you soon. Hope to see you at a tournament soon. All the best. Ooh. Thank you for the comments, Nathan. They are very kind. We hope to see you too.
Walk up to one of us at a tournament and say hi and Come chat to us. Always come chat to us at tournaments, unless like we're in the loo or in the middle of a game. Yeah, or in the middle of a game.
I mean, at the urinal's fine. To be honest, as long as we're in separate cubicles. Yeah. Say hello
under
at the
door and say, "Pissing all by yourself, handsome." If you understand that reference, please comment below, and I'll reward the first person to comment where they understand that reference from.
So. Yeah, please come and say hello. If I seem like I don't recognize you, it's because I'm very bad at meeting new people, but I will be friendly, I promise.
Yeah, Dave's not good in new social situations. I know.
D tries is clearly a Jake Rawson plant, trying to justify the shield on Jake's pike banner because it would give him the ability to be non-lethal with strikes. Very, very niche, but the only thing I can think of.
I was going to say, I think that is pretty much the only benefit to putting but I think for me, it's easier than the other option, the only other option that he had, which was random weapon swap for clout, which personally I like. I like having a random Uruk with a hammer because it makes me feel big. But, it's 701 points. What's the guy going to do?
Ollie Brown asks comments about changes he'd make to heroes that we talked about last week. He would up the Candish King to 3 might and give Candish Horseman Expert Rider.
I agree with Expert Rider.
I think, I'm not so big on it. But
you'd have to up points them. But...
The thing with Expert Rider is it doesn't actually give them a whole lot. Like, it lets them reroll Friend Rider, and it gives them the ability to pick stuff up without dismounting, because they don't have the shields anyway, so they don't get that bonus. What I would say is, I think they probably deserve it. I think anyone that's like a mounted horse archer probably should be an Expert Rider. And I think the Candish King having 3 might is fine. Maybe put his points up slightly, but he's already a lot of points. Most Candish armies don't have more than 1. So I think that would be fine.
You do set dangerous precedent of an unnamed hero with 3 might, because Eristor is still crying in the corner.
Aristor's always crying in the corner. He used to have 1 might. He can grow up.
Yeah, true.
Seth Clark says, congrats on the sponsor, gents. Well deserved. I know many players get stuck into other similar games like Legion, Bolt Action, etc. How would you say they compare / rank in your eyes with MESBG? Are there any you guys are into?
So I played Bolt Action briefly many years ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was like, wow, this game kicks ass. I want to play this. But then there's never been anyone in my local scene I could ever play with. And at that point, I wasn't into just going to tournaments by myself. Obviously, I do that now, but I didn't, I wouldn't want to try and play the game for the first time in a tournament setting when you know nothing about it after having to pay and buy all the stuff. But when I did play Bolt Action, I really enjoyed it. I've heard good things about Legion as well. Yeah, so I think if I was picking another game besides Old World, which is a personal thing because I have a load of Warhammer Fantasy already, so
sent to him from Games Workshop, proud sponsors.
Yeah, he only had to pay for them in the post.
I'd mostly bought in actual shops. Actually, that's how old they were. That's probably would be the next game I play. Then Bolt Action. I think I'd really like to play Bolt Action. I've been meaning to talk to World Champion more about it because I know he's just gotten into it. So.
Elliot plays Star Wars Legion, doesn't he?
Yeah, Elliot and Josh both play Legion. I tried to play Legion, but my package got lost in the post and I had to get a refund, so it was upsetting. Personally, the Dungeons and Dragons is a bit of an obvious one. We all play Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games. It's not quite the same because it's not war games, but personally, the best game I've ever played on tabletop, and it does beat SPG in my eyes, is More Time. There is a like a fan-based version of it where they balance a lot of things, they add a bunch of new things, and the best thing about it, and it's the thing which Battle Companies slightly almost gets there and Kill Team completely misses, is full customization of everything. Like you can customize all the gear, you can customize it's great. I can't remember precisely who hosts it or if GW have now tried to like IP infringe them or whatever. But yeah, More Time, really, really good. Such a good system. Obviously it's based on fantasy, but yeah, my personal favorite.
Our next comment is from Hello Again 212. Yeah, did I sleep through the end of the week? It's not Friday. I think this is because we've been a little bit slack on our battle report posting. They will be Fridays when we can get them up. And then the podcast will go up on Wednesdays, but people are busy. Real life sometimes gets in the way of Toy Soldiers. We try and get content out to you when we can, but blame the intern. He's not working hard enough.
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest with you. At the moment, life is really busy. We are trying to film more, but I have one night free this week, and it was yesterday, and I'd had a long weekend, and I got home, and I was like, I'm just gonna vegetate in bed. We will get Bat Raps up and running again. Hopefully life will settle down in the next couple of weeks or something.
Friend of the channel, another channel, Noobs and Men, says better takes than Into the West. We can't comment on any
They've already did.
podcast rivalries. We've got to be impartial.
Why?
You should check out both Into the West and Noobs and Men. They both make great content.
Yeah, they do.
And if you like us, and you probably do, considering you're still here an hour in, you'll probably like them.
Yeah, both really good channels. Big fan of both of their works. And podcast, good format. Love it.
So, is that the end of the comments? No, it's not. There's even more.
Oh my god.
We're popular now.
Firstly, we say, oh my god. What I actually mean is thank you for the comments. I love it. Yeah. Thank you guys. It's really nice to see.
The only JP1 says he bought these funny comments at Firestorm Games. He did, apparently. I wouldn't know.
You can buy lots of things there. You should go check out our affiliate link in the description. #sellout.
I really liked this next comment, made me very happy. That original orc, who, as we mentioned last week, does incredible conversions on Instagram, said, humbled by the kind words, very much a fan of your lads, and often has videos playing whilst he's working / hobbying. Always fun and entertaining ride. Much love. We love your work as well.
Shout out.
Yeah. Beardy Fluffbag says the Balrog turned up and apologized about
Oh, yeah.
Gandalf just after Boromir died. Hence no Boromir.
That makes sense. He
Yeah,
followed them all the way out of the mountain.
Shout out, Rick.
Oh, someone else take over. I'm about to sneeze.
Oh yeah, sorry. Jake Robson 2067, which is, I believe, Jake Rawson's alternative account. It's Jake Robson's alternative account. Great guy.
It's
Good
just
laugh. Big fan.
2067.
Wait, he's from the
by looks of it.
future.
Yeah.
Borough in London didn't miss a year too. It happened in 2020, just before COVID, and in 2021.
Yeah, I thought so. I wasn't 100% sure about 2021, but I knew it happened in 2020 because I was there for that one. That was
There's a lot to be said for any tournament that has a historical legacy, like Borough. I mean, I'm not going to name all the names.
Borough is like what I would call a more modern, but it's really taken off. Like that's almost like the foundational, like London tournament.
Yeah, the LGT
G-Boot has sort of the LWG.
Sorry, LWG.
Yeah, not the LGT. That's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
Which doesn't have as many players as I think they'd like. Yeah, so Borough is a good tournament. I recommend it. Lots of lovely guys in that scene.
Yeah,
if you can get a ticket, I think this year it sold out in about 10 seconds.
And it will do because it's got good TOs and it's well known for running. Fat Hobbit Gaming, our king fan, Liam Smith. Once again, big love Liam Smith, big love Laura. If you ever have a chance to go to their events, you should. I always do my best to go there if I can.
And you shout them out every time.
I think I went to 3 last year, blast for every single one. Always shout them out because they comment. Awesome meta look as always. Looking forward to seeing Elliot and Jordan next week. Oops. They both send their apologies. They're actually busy tonight. Almost worried there for a second. You left us a cliffhanger. Was Dave wrong about a rule? He was actually wrong about.
I've clarified it already. We already published I already corrected myself, so I wasn't wrong.
Where's the competitive legitimacy gone?
Sorry, Liam, I let you down.
Yeah, Dave is unfortunately sometimes fallible, but I would say if you are at an event and Dave is playing on top tables, and you've got a rules query, go ask him.
I'm that guy who'll.
don't.
No, to be fair, I know you're joking, but I'm that guy who will intervene with the table 2 tables over if I hear them getting a rule wrong. So.
Yeah, I try not to do that because I don't think it's my responsibility.
No, it's not my responsibility, but if someone's getting something wrong, I'll be like, actually,
I have done that. Actually,
or if someone says out loud, "We should check this," I'll be like,
actually,
"It's this." I can't help myself. I like answering questions.
It's nice.
Our final comment of the video is a repeat comment from Carson Howard. He said, "Glad my comment gave some inspiration." That's in reference to his fantastic idea of doing our Heroic X or Heroics. Heroics.
Aristotle having 2 might. Sorry,
as Carson says, as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle once put it, some people without possessing genius have a remarkable power of stimulating it. I hope to see any Heroics shorts in the future. One of my goals in life is to cross the pond and play in a GBHL tournament.
Nice. Well, let us know if you're coming along, and we'll give you a heroic.
Yeah. If you are genuinely coming across, let us know, and we'll see if we're going to the same tournament. A good one for international people is I'd say Ardacon, because it's all hosted in the same-ish location.
A bit expensive, but yeah, it's a good one.
It is expensive.
It is also one that you might find other Americans coming to, though. So
that's what I was going to say.
Although it's not actually, to be fair, it's not like us going to. We're going to France. There's probably like 2 or 3 airports you can go from. USA. Not quite the same.
Yes. You will also probably.
Right. We might be going from the same place.
You find someone who is also going to the tournament, and then you realize they're 2 time zones away. So it's a little bit different.
That's a classic USA.
It's a very good if you've got a local community of people and they're like, oh, this is cool. Ardacon is, as previously said, expensive, but you have to treat it as like a little holiday. When you go.
So
if you're coming a long way, there's a lot of bang potentially for your weekend as well. You can get like 3 tournaments in, I think, if you do it right.
That brings us to the end of this week's pod. So once again, we will shamelessly shill. You can screenshot the QR code on screen on mobiles, or check out the description below for our shameless shilling for our Firestorm Games affiliate link. Buy all your stuff there.
It's not shilling if you actually believe in the product, because we have all genuinely bought stuff from there, and we do genuinely love the service they provide.
Yeah. It is
That's
one of the
the
best
shilling
gaming
law.
venues.
Yeah, that is the shilling law.
Shout out Elliot Shilling Law.
So shout out Elliot Shilling Law, Gollum's
Let's
Gamers. Thank you everyone for coming to listen / watch. Remember to comment, like, share, subscribe. Support your Hobbit hobby by going to Firestorm Games. Drop a comment down below. Tell me where that obscure video clip is from, and I will somehow reward you. I don't know, I'll send you something in the post or meet you at a tournament and buy you a drink. Yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Chitter chitter.
Chitter chitter.
Chitter chitter.
I brought this from Firestorm Games.
I bought this from Firestorm Games.
I bought these from Firestorm Games.
We're very, very proud here at Any Heroics to be affiliated with Firestorm Games. So when I first got into the hobby a couple of years ago, and I bought myself the Battle of Pelennor Fields box and some Order Orcs and a handful of paints, it was from this site. I spoke to a couple of guys at the staff there, and they were very, very helpful and gave me everything I needed to get into the hobby. It's a fantastic place to get your stuff. Most of it's already discounted from the Games Workshop rates, so buying it here is going to be way cheaper than getting yourself direct. They don't just do MESBG, they've got 40k, AOS, Magic the Gathering, any other board games you can think of. If believe you me, it's there. It's just such an amazing shop, and we're really, really proud to be affiliated. They do nationwide delivery, and you can use our link below to get any of the stuff you need and have an explore for yourself. Back to the pod.